Hello, you guys. We're finally here today. I'm Tricia Turner. We're coming live normally at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is Rise and Thrive. A little bit of technology troubles on my end today, but we are here and I'm super excited because Chad Smith is here. And Chad Smith, you guys, I've known him for years, but one of the things that you may not know about him is that he prides himself, his organization, his everything on profitability. And there are very few, in all honesty, very few team leaders that focus on that. They talk about it, but when you look at their P&Ls, it's one of the things that you won't see as much of. And they talk about, big numbers and sales volume and transaction count and all of that, but none of it matters if you're not making any money because we're not running nonprofits. And Chad has been notorious for running the largest KW center in the nation, right, Chad? Most profitable?
I was an agent in the most profitable Keller Williams office in the world 2
Yeah.
years in a row. And we went on to become the top team in that office. And so, yeah, a lot of what we're going to talk about today, I did learn in that environment. Yeah.
For sure. And you guys, you've been running a team for how long now, Chad?
Well, I've been in real estate. I'm almost at 22 years. And I really started to build the team. So I would say probably 16 or 17 years.
Okay. Y'all, we're going to talk about a lot of things, all things real estate today, but you got to have your finances in order, and in the real estate, Chad is going to tell you guys where he is in the world, but in our industry, it hasn't been the easiest for the last 3 or 4 years. So Chad, so that those know a little bit about you, give us your backstory, where you are in the world. You just told kind of how long you've been doing it, but walk us through a little bit of your backstory, please.
Yeah, sure. I got my license in 2004. I had no business background whatsoever. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. I got my real estate license because I wanted to learn about real estate. I was inspired by my uncle who had retired at age 44 from passive income in real estate. He wasn't a realtor. However, I knew nothing about real estate. So I kind of got my license to just get started. And I was at Keller Williams Arlington for 17 years straight. And during that time, that office at one point was, there was only about 50 agents. It was not profitable. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. And then there was a leadership change right around the time of the great financial crisis. And the leader that took it over is a phenomenal business person, phenomenal leader, and set a new vision for the office. And like we just said, that office went on in 2013 and 14 to be the most profitable Keller Williams office in the world. So I watched that happen and I played a big part in it the best I could in learning and taking action on what was taught. And then also by attracting others, served on the Agent Leadership Council there 8 years in a row, attracted 2 Regional Rookies of the Year. So just learned phenomenal things and then went on to build a team. And the team was based on a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And that model has a lead generation model. It has an organizational model, but it also has an economic model. And so, yeah, we watched that. We've learned that to this day. We watch the numbers. The numbers are the language of business, and the numbers always tell a story. And so if I could boil it all down, I would say the number one key performance indicator that you could look at for any organization would be productivity per person. So if you're running, whether it's a small team, let's say an individual agent, to a small team, to a large team, to a brokerage, it's always going to come back down to productivity per person. If you've got a really highly productive team per person, then you can find profit. So yeah, that's the kind of the background of where I've been and a lot of where I learned these things. Yeah.
So Chad, and I don't know your number of years here, but you will, of course. Y'all, he runs $100 million team, 100 plus. And that's a hard number to hit. I've been trying to hit it, We've hit 75. We came in low last year at 57 million, but haven't got 100 yet. And when you reach that number, and Chad, you've maintained that number, and you've done it with not this massive team. So how long have you guys been on that 100+ number? And talk to everyone about your team size, the people that have been doing that with you.
Yeah. So we did right at 100 million 4 years in a row.
Super cool.
Yeah. We just found some screenshots on my phone where the peak, as far as the team goes, was 85 pendings at one time.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. So, however, with that being said, I will tell you, like, we did not hit 100 million last year, but let me say this: the productivity per person on the team, the agents that are on the Chad Smith team in 2025, we averaged 31.7 transactions per person.
Love that.
So now that we're adding back to the team, we'll take it back up to those numbers and then beyond. But although the Chad Smith team did not do 100 million in volume last year, the agents that were on the team were highly productive. Our top agent netted like $375,000. Okay, so that's a whole lot better than a lot of teams, right?
Yes.
Okay, but what we did do is we've built a coaching community that, if you look at kind of the way that we've modeled it now, there's almost 1,000 agents that qualify to be part of the community, and we're growing a mastermind inside of it. And so we intentionally let the Chad Smith team numbers dwindle slightly while maintaining the top producing talent. But then we built this scalable national community, and it was worth slowing down.
But even with your agent count or your production at 31 roughly transactions per agent, in a market that we see where agents have gone now 2 years without selling a single home,
right?
Yours have not. They've never done that. And you've had your same team, your base team, consistently for how many years now?
Yeah, the core team. So core operations have been there for a decade. And then the top two producing agents on the team, one just had their work anniversary. So Brooks Summer started in the last week of April of 2012.
Crazy.
And he sold 81 houses last year. And then Jason Breitenstein joined right at the end of 2013. And these guys were great talent. They had done pretty amazing things before they joined the team. And so if you look at anything that I talk about on a weekly basis, anything that I teach, a lot of it is wrapped up into this leadership framework, this belief system that a healthy business looks for amazing people to pour themselves into, the leader to pour themselves into, but then creates an environment that's built on something bigger than just selling houses.
Yeah.
We all have alignment with, so that we can just keep going together year after year after year. And, that all sounds good on a podcast, but there's been plenty of friction and rough moments throughout the years, but we've kept fighting together.
I bet you people are listening to this and they're like, 81 transactions, like, why in the world would he stay on a team? Because you know how some agents think, they're like, oh, I got this figured out, I'm just going to go off on my own now.
Yeah.
Why do they stay, Chad?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I wish they were on, because it's even better when you ask them, right? And so, if they were here, what they would say is, we don't feel like we're giving up a split. People will say, why do you guys stay with Chad? Why do you give up that much of your commission? And they say, well, we don't really see it that way, right? If we were to go on our own, we would have to then go figure out how to optimize a CRM and get up to the front of the leading edge of AI. And we would need to build out our own systems and our own operations and find world-class talent and build up our own Google page and our own Zillow reviews and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera. And all these things while simultaneously doing all their production and maintaining a health at home and all those things. And so what they see it as is a shared expense in the absolute best of the best tools and systems and process and team. So they don't feel like they're giving anything up to me, because I have done my very, very best to fulfill my commitment to them, that we would pursue this purpose. And for me, on the Chad Smith team, like, our internal purpose is that we're kingdom builders. So we're interested in giving as much money as we can into the spreading of the gospel in our lifetime. So we have this deep, infinite goal, this belief system that we're in alignment with. And then my commitment to them in the business environment is that I would give them the mindset, the skill set, and the tools and the support that they need, so that they can do what they're great at.
Yeah.
And what they're great at doing is being agents and serving their clients and solving problems for sellers and solving problems for buyers and just being world-class at what they do. And I've helped to create an environment that facilitates that.
You have. And, when you look at like statistics, of course, and people are struggling to even get a home sold or get one under contract, in your ecosystem where that's never an issue, like they have a repeated system and they're doing the same stuff, the daily habits, like what are you attributing their massive success to, that you could tell other agents that this is what we're doing and anybody can do it?
Sure. Well, what you just said, that's actually something I say almost every day. It's that if you really look at it, so let's go back to, let's say, the 1970s, when there was just massive inflation, right? Or the early 80s, when interest rates got up to 18, 19%. Or then there was a big stock market Black Monday in 1987. Then you had the dot-com bubble bursting in 1999, September 11, 2001, the great financial crisis, then COVID, then the last 2 or 3 years with Jerome Powell and interest rates and everything that we've gone through.
Sure.
In every one of those spots, there was an agent somewhere that had the best year they'd ever had.
Yep.
There is always somebody having the best year they've ever had as an agent. And during those times, there was always sellers selling. There were always buyers buying. And so what we say on a daily basis is, what's the market got to do with me? If I do the right things every single day, then I can achieve the results that I've set out to achieve. And so the way that we built an environment for this is, I was observing in this whole 2019 through 2021 timeframe that the models were changing in real estate and all these things were happening. And then we spent 3 years at a cloud-based brokerage, but there wasn't very much communication. Even though certain people had achieved amazing results, you couldn't get a hold of them, even though they were supposedly in your organization or in your world. So what I decided to do was to take that off the table. And so I took the Chad Smith team morning meeting, the one that we used to empower agents like Brooks and Jason and Ron Anderson and other agents to become world-class. And I took it out of just being a daily morning meeting around a conference table with 10 agents. And we've turned it into a broadcast where I go live 265 mornings a year, and every single weekday of the year, minus a major holiday, tell the agents who say yes to the environment, here are the plays we're running today. Here's what's going on in the market. Even though that doesn't matter, it may dictate the plays you run.
For sure.
Here's how we think, here's how we speak, here's how we act, here's what we're doing, here's how we pivot, here's how we plan. And it's just every single day. And so if someone's willing to take the heat, they can jump into an environment where they get sharpened, and it's not magic. But if you stay in that environment for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 7, 10, 14, 15 years, you become the overnight success that everybody else wants to be.
So your team and you guys that are paying attention, I know this because Chad and I are friends, but his people come into the office. They come in every day, don't they, Chad?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
You believe in that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, even during the lockdowns, I went to work every
Same.
day. Yeah. So there are a couple mornings here and there where I'll stay at home and get some extra things done and then run my meeting from the office. But what I definitely believe in is, whether it's digitally or physically in an office, I believe showing up every day.
For sure.
Like, I don't know how to not work. Like, number one, this feels like I'm fulfilling my purpose. It doesn't feel like work, but we were made to work. And so, that's a big part of it. And agents, you can hear that a lot from them. Like, I don't know why it's not working. Well, part of it is you're not even showing up. Like,
yes,
you can't learn how to break through if you're bringing a half-hearted effort.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we say constantly around here is that this is the market of extra effort. Well, guess what? It's been the market of extra effort for like 20 years. Okay. It's not going to change anytime soon.
No.
Extra effort is where the breakthrough is.
Your people that are doing this high production numbers, would you say that they're doing the same things day in, day out? Is there some magic thing that they're doing to do these kind of numbers?
So let me say two things to that. There is a consistent thing, and I'm going to give you actually the exact answer to that here shortly. But then on the other side of that, in addition to the consistency, we are constantly iterating. So yes, we are very consistent, but we never stand still. And so what we're also constantly doing, and it's mid-year, so we've been doing this a lot the last couple of weeks, we're looking at every single dollar that we have spent in lead generation, and we're asking ourselves the question, what is the ROI on this through 6 months of this year? And we stack up every single one of the options that we've taken. And what we look for is, okay, what's performing the best? And then which ones are performing the least? And then we're constantly cutting what doesn't work and then re-optimizing to what we find that does work. So that's part of the consistency. So I've seen people get this wrong where I know a guy and he got on the phones and he was like, I'm just going to keep grinding the phones. Well, yes and no, because yes, you keep doing that. But if 1 out of every 100 numbers you dial is answering, you got to improve the system, right? You might need to do some research to see what you can do to make yourself not show up as spam. You might need to do some more research to find lists where there's a higher answer rate and things of that nature. So yes, it's consistent while you're simultaneously always working to optimize and find things that will produce a higher return on investment. Mm-hmm. Leads that cost less but are closer to the bottom of the funnel where the seller and buyer are ready to transact. And so from the consistency side of it, this is the other part. Even in the Realty of America Success Vault training that I recorded last year, we talked about the consistency that most of you guys are missing is having 20 conversations a day. And when I interview agents, they tend to average 1 to 3 conversations per day. So we show up whenever we show up, if we show up at all, to an office. And then we find creative ways to check our emails or work on some social media or some flyers or go to a class. Then we go to lunch, and then we talk to agents around the office. And then before they leave, maybe make 1 or 2 or 3 phone calls, and then they go home. And then deep down inside, they know they didn't do what they should have done. Okay, that's why 70% of the agents didn't sell a home the last 2 or 3 years. So I say 20 conversations. However, now I see agents, and they actually hide in the activity of 20 conversations. So if you're doing it functionally, like just to check off a box, talk to 20 people, and you call them and you go, hey, this is Chad Smith. Just following up. You enjoying your home? Great. Talk to you later, or hey, calling about that home search you had. Yeah, we're not ready yet. Sounds good. Talk to you in 6 months. That's not it. You may not move the business forward. So here's what I've got for everyone. I just started teaching this last week. If you had some combination of 20 conversations where you asked these 2 questions, either 20 sellers or 20 buyers or some combination of both, and you asked 20 sellers, hey, Mr. Seller, let me ask you a question. If an offer were presented to you tomorrow, would you sell? If I ask 20 people that a day, I'm going to move my business forward.
Yeah.
Because 10 of them, maybe 12, maybe 15 would say, no, we're good. But it's probably lower than that. And a bunch of them would say something like, Well, it depends. I need to find a house, or it depends on what I could get, or I have this job relocation in it. I'm waiting on this, and they're going to give you their objections or this or that, and then that's when your job as a professional realtor kicks in, and you start to dig into that and solve problems and ask more questions. Okay, and then the one for the buyer is, if the right house came on the market today and it met all your needs and it made financial sense, is there any reason why you wouldn't move forward? Well, they may say, well, I need this or I need that. And then all of a sudden now you're in a conversation, a real estate conversation.
I love that.
Okay, so I shared all this, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of last week. And a bunch of the agents in the community across the country, they either send it to their stale leads in their database, or they posted it on Facebook or on Instagram or wherever. And we had listings taken, buyers re-engaged, this, I mean, just like popcorn flying everywhere. So that's one day out of 265 days a year. And this is what we do every day. That's how you grow. And it's also how you stay relevant.
So when your team is doing activities like this, they are doing this stuff, are you finding better conversions on calls, texts, what social media? What are you guys getting your best results from?
Well, we have all those things going. So, to me, it's the messaging, even on inbound leads, it depends on the lead source.
It does.
And so I think that if you have, let's just break it down per segment. Like if you have a database of leads, like we have 59,000 leads in our database. So I could send that message out through text and probably be the most effective way.
For sure.
If I was calling, let's say my past clients, I think a phone call or even a pop by would be most effective. If you have gotten social media working for you, then posting those questions to your audience, it's going to be super powerful. So it just kind of depends on what type of lead we're discussing.
So are the agents that are on your team, are they doing all things, hitting it all?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the challenge is, if you're brand new, you need to pick one and go do it first, so you don't get lost in trying to do everything at once. But we have almost 3,000 past clients. We have 300 plus 5-star reviews on Google. We have a really good Google Maps page. We have over 300 5-star reviews on Zillow. We have 59,000 leads in our database. We have AI re-engaging those leads, right? We have a dialer with 500,000 telephone numbers in it. We have all these things, right? So
yes.
So all I'm needing from the team is just that commitment to go take the daily actions that lead to success.
So for the agents that are listening, they're like, well, I don't have all of that stuff. I don't have these leads. I don't have that. I don't have, what can they do? What to get some kind of win? What could they be doing?
Okay. So in the Success Vault, we walk people through, if you're part of Realty of America, we walk them through a series of questions they could ask themselves. Because you've kind of got outbound prospecting, which would be door knocking,
yep,
open houses, actually just picking up the phone and calling lists, those types of things. Networking events where you go out there and hunt and gather and go find it. You got inbound, where you actually, if you had money, you could spend money and have leads coming into your inbox every day. And then you've got social media. And then you've got your sphere of influence. So some people get into real estate and they never sold a house before, but maybe their spouse is very connected in business or in the community. So they have this sphere. So what you have to do is you have to figure out of outbound, inbound, social media, and sphere, which one of those four are you willing to say yes to? Yeah. And then you play that game until you win. And a lot of folks don't have the discipline to do it. Right. They'll start on social media, and they post 3 times and they don't go viral, and they get discouraged. And then they hear about somebody did something great at an open house. They do open houses until they have one Saturday when nobody shows up. And then they go try to call some lists, and then they get cussed out. And then, and then they go back to social media, and you do that long enough and you'll go out of business.
Yes. In the world where in some markets homes are taking longer to sell, home values are coming down, are you guys focusing on listings at all, or are you more focusing on buyers in this market?
Yeah, I would say that in all markets, we're focused on the motivated.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are definitely taking a lot of listings, but we've also turned down more listings
Yes.
than we have in many, many years. But I love this because I made my way in real estate. God opened up a way for me through during the great financial crisis. And so if you look at if you're in Netris, if you're in North Texas and you log into the MLS, you'll see that for residential listings, I think we've sold like 91% of all the listings we've ever taken.
They're freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not playing games with
No.
this. We spend an hour today coaching everybody on the team on every single conversation you can have with sellers to help them understand that once we together work together to get the home staged and looking the best it can to go online, and we together look at the market as soberly as we can and choose what we believe is the most strategic price that the market would be willing to pay, then it's either going to sell in the first 30 to 45 days, or we will know that the market has rejected that price. And the better you get at explaining this, the faster you solve it. Because in a market like this, at least in Texas, the longer it takes for you to develop the ability to communicate that to the seller, you cost them money.
Oh, for sure.
And so we're still, I mean, we are just selling listings.
Mm-hmm.
And we also do a once a week Chad Smith team listing meeting where we pull up every incoming listing. Every agent on the team is on those calls, Zoom, and we review the incomings. So the agents are familiar with what they're going to be getting sign calls on.
Yep.
And then we pull up every active listing and we discuss them as a team. And we look at optimizing photos, adjusting property descriptions. We pull up CMAs. We discuss pricing, adjustment tactics. We go over the scripts and dialogues needed. We jump in and help other team agents because it's our job to communicate the information to the seller.
Yes.
And if you can effectively communicate what the market is saying to a seller, and then at the end of that, they say, well, then, if that's what the market's willing to pay, let's just take the home off the market. We probably shouldn't have listed that in the first place.
Yep.
Because if you are professional, you're going to spend thousands of dollars marketing that property. By the time you're done with staging, signs, lock boxes, at this point, drone, twilight photos, all
Launching it,
social media,
yes,
weekly follow-up, listing manager to be the professional, you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars. So I need to let's go back to lead generation. I need to lead generate enough to the sellers who need to sell in this market and have the ability to sell. And when I can deliver enough value to enough of those sellers, then I don't get stuck in this cycle where I've got a whole bunch of listings and it doesn't even make sense for them to lower to the price that the market is willing to pay because it's not in their best interest. Well, I'm not in the business of having sellers do what's not in their best interest. I'm in the business of helping my sellers get what they want and buyers get what they want. And so that's why you've got to just have enough conversations every day.
Are you seeing in your market there more people that are in financial situations and more people that are maybe not able to sell because they possibly paid too much for their home?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's more of that for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
But the answer to real estate is time. So long as they can at least maintain, if they wait long enough, they'll be okay. What happened with, let's say, 2020 through the first half of 2022, when they artificially dropped rates to that low of a number, and then property values appreciated, let's say, over 25%, it gave us this false sense of reality that you could buy real estate and speculate on it.
Yes.
You could buy it, and 6 months later, you could turn around and make a profit. That's not historically normal. Like Texas for decades only appreciated at 2 to max 4% per year because we have all this land we can keep
Yes.
renting out. And so, so long as somebody's not actually in distress to where they're going to lose the home, time will solve it because you're paying down that principal.
Yeah.
And, we'll get through this cycle. No economic cycle is going to last forever. And every month that goes by when you own a home, you're reducing that principal balance just a little bit. And over time, by and by, you'll get there.
I want to shift gears a little bit because Chad, you and I met years ago, and we met because we were both at EXP, and we met through mutual friends, of course. But if you think about what you said at the beginning, that you were at this KW office, you had grown, like you had learned everything, Gary Keller, like you learned that whole model, which has proven to be wildly successful. And you were one of the best students. Like you learned it, and then you implemented it and you took action. You then pivoted and went into a completely different model, which is the rev share model, the cloud-based thing. Why? Because I don't even think I've ever asked you this. Why, where you were on pace, you were doing well, doing everything well, weren't wanting for anything, why make such a change into a completely different real estate model?
Okay, it's a great question. I'm going to answer it a couple different ways. The first way goes back to my leadership framework. So Brooks and Jason, Ron, the agents that have been with me for a while. One of my leadership frameworks is that it's my role as the leader to never become a limiting factor to the talent in the organization that said yes. And so I was running into the limitations of that model. The franchise model was originated coming out of World War II in the 1950s. And I couldn't articulate it at the time, but I knew that the opportunities were all taken in that model. And so I got into entrepreneurship training in different circles and different things. And so it was that. I can't sit still. I don't believe it. I don't even know how to not grow at this point. I have to keep growing. Like, I don't know how to live my life in regret. I refuse to get to that point. There's a Benjamin Franklin quote, and I don't know that I have it exact, but it's something like this. Most men die in their 20s, but they're not buried until they're in their 70s.
I heard that too.
Yeah. So I don't ever want to be dead while I'm alive. Mm-mm. Okay. So that was a big part of it, right? We've got to keep growing. I saw that team agents that were on smaller teams than ours that left KW, the team agents were doing better with more opportunity in the cloud-based model. So that was part of it.
Okay.
The other part is, I'll take a minute to talk about a model that I'm developing. I don't even know that I'm developing. I'm articulating it because the whole industry is doing this. Just nobody said it out loud yet. And I call it the infinite agent model. And so you need three things to operate the infinite agent model. Number one is you need an infinite goal, a goal that's bigger than money or transactions or rankings or leads. Because if you attract people to your organization on money or leads or transactions or rankings, they'll leave you for money or leads or transactions or rankings.
Yep.
And so my infinite goal, I've already said, is to give. I'm a giver. I want to give back into the kingdom of God, because without Jesus, I'm dead.
Amen.
None of this happens. I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't have my marriage. I wouldn't have Steph. I wouldn't have my daughters, Brianna, Kaylee, Ashlyn, and Dana. None of this would have ever happened. And so I'm compelled to perpetuate that so that more people can experience that. Okay, so that's my infinite goal. Well, secondly, you need an infinite platform. And an infinite platform could be a social media platform where you can just go find your people anywhere. But the smartest brokerages have figured out that they can build their brokerage like a platform. And then the third is you operate the infinite agent model, which is you keep your core business going, but you optimize it with modern day technology, so AI, and you can just lower those expenses, and you keep that core expense management very, very tight. You hold it accountable, like we've already talked about today. And then while I keep this core business relevant, I add ancillary businesses. So rental properties, flipping properties, construction, mortgage, title, property management. And you keep building those out, coaching communities, these recurring revenue type of ancillary assets. And when the income from all the ancillaries exceeds your operational costs for your real estate agent business and your personal life, you're an infinite agent.
Isn't that crazy? That's called freedom, Chad.
Yeah.
And most people don't get there.
Right. Well, it's easier when someone has shown you the model. And
yes.
So I'm in the process of writing this right now.
So when you look at the franchise model that you left behind, you went into the cloud-based, the rev share model. You've now been, how long ago was that? Because once you went into the model, you've been there.
2021. So
okay.
Yeah, coming up on 5 years.
Doesn't it seem like it was longer than that?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay. Yeah. And then you guys, he said he's with Realty of America. We're with Realty of America, which of course we were together when we were both at EXP. And then I had left and I had went to Real for one reason or another. And we were at Real building away over there like we do. And then I heard about Realty of America because, of course, I know Mark Demas. And I'm like, what is this? Mark is right here in Houston with me. I got to find out more. And then like God works in mysterious ways, because right about that same time, I saw Chad publicly announce that he was moving over to Realty of America. And I was like, what? So, of course, I called Chad. I'm like, we have to talk about this.
Right.
Chad and I have this, we have this common theme. Both of us do. Giving is number one, of course. Faith is like huge play in it, but we are very passionate about education and training. Mm-hmm. We believe it's at our core of everything. Like I still go on listing appointments, and it's so funny because I literally go into listing appointments and I don't even care if I get the listing. I just want to teach them why this number is the value of their home. And I show them how I get there. And I educate the whole, and they say it when I'm done. They're like, wow, no one's ever explained it to me like that before. And I tell them, well, now you can go get your real estate license and you can come work with us because I showed you how. But yeah. It comes, I think, from that passion of, like you just said, there's not anyone out there really, and not enough people doing it because the agents are struggling. Clearly, the numbers don't lie. And through all of this passion for training and all of that, Chad, talk about the success vault, because I think that's one of the biggest letdowns in the cloud-based brokerage is the training or lack of training and lack of community. And I think what we're building at Realty of America is different because it isn't just a cloud-based brokerage. We have models all over. We have offices all over the nation, and we love community. Our offices are open to all of our agents. So talk about why that was so important to you and the foundation of that.
Yeah, let's see. So I'll explain it this way. I tell this story about my time at KW. And so 17 years. In the beginning, I went to all the training. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book existed. It was there. It was the framework for all the trainings. So I went to all the classes, went to all the trainings, and so did all the other agents that were there. But for about 4 or 5 years, everybody that went to those trainings, nobody ever broke through a ceiling of achievement and built a big, profitable business. Then in the middle segment, there was a time period where all of us went to the classes. We all learned a ton. A bunch of us broke through ceilings of achievement and became top producers, not only in Dallas-Fort Worth, but across the whole country. 2 regional rookies of the year and 1 international rookie of the year during those periods at that office. And then after that era kind of ended, there was a third segment at the same office where everybody went to classes and nobody really ever broke through. So when I look back at all that, what was the difference? It was the same framework. It was the same classes. It was the same training, the same manuals. The difference was in the middle segment, that's when my mentor, the one who took over that Keller Williams office, taught the classes. And so when I met Mark Demas and Eddie Garcia, we met three or four times, and we spent a lot of time talking, and I showed them the coaching community I was building that was even existing outside of my real estate license, because I wasn't representing sellers and buyers, and how I was attracting agents from all kinds of different companies because they were aligning to the culture and the core values of what I was building. And I showed them all that. And then I told them that story, and I explained my experience at EXP. And what I explained to Mark and Eddie was, I believe that what's missing in the modern environment is that with a cloud-based brokerage, you could create training to where the absolute best of the best could be the ones delivering the training and giving back into the agents, so that we could replicate that beautiful spot in the middle of my KW Arlington experience when the best of the best was teaching the training, and it just lifted other agents.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was just explaining how I was doing that in my coaching community. And then about a month after I said yes to Realty of America, I got a phone call from Eddie, and he flew into town, and he said, hey, listen, we know about what you experienced at KW. We saw what you built for yourself. Will you build what you built for yourself for Realty of America? And I said yes.
And how long did you work on that project, Chad?
Well, the first several months were really all of me and then Mark and Eddie kind of getting just kind of alignment on it, vision, working through the kind of the setup.
Yeah.
I would say really it was about 6 months of really intense content creation to build it all. And then we debuted it on Christmas Day of 2025. And I can honestly say the response, even to this day, was better than what I could have written for a movie script.
Isn't that crazy?
Super cool. Amazing experience. I'm so grateful to have been given the opportunity. And then I'm very humbled and grateful to see agents that are going in there, taking action and changing their lives. That's very, very rewarding.
So would you say that for anyone listening that the Success Vault is there for any agent at any stage, whether they're a top producer or a brand new agent, to literally go through it? And if they implement the things that they learned, they can be a top producer?
Yes, I would definitely say that. So here's the frame of mind I took whenever I created it was, all right, how do I organize something so that it could be relevant to an 18-year-old that just got their license, let's say on the West Coast somewhere, let's say San Francisco, all the way to $1 billion mega team in Miami and everything in between. And so the framework is this. If I were to interview 1,000 agents, the number one question that would get all of them is leads.
Oh, yeah.
I asked 1,000 agents, do you have more than enough leads to hit your goals? 99% of them would say no. 99 plus would say no.
Yep.
So the beginning of the Success Vault teaches you the mindset and action principles, the mentality that's required just to take enough action to go get those leads. And so it's mindset and action principles, and then the 4 types of lead generation that we've already talked about today. Well, the very next question I would ask after leads is, okay, let's say you've got leads. Do you wish that you could convert a higher percentage of those leads into business? And hopefully 100% would say yes on that one.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So then the entire second segment of the Success Vault is all about conversion. We're talking about modern scripts and dialogues, neuro-linguistic programming, behavioral assessments, knowing how to mirror and match, word for word, everything to say on listing appointments, buyer presentations, how to negotiate, how to go for price reductions, how to get the most strategic price up front. It's all in there. Role play examples, all those types of things. From there, we get to systems and processes. And once you have leads, conversion skills, and you have buttoned up the transaction so that your clients know what to expect during a transaction, you get those three things down, you will achieve what we call the freedom threshold. Because once you have that going, you're probably winning top producer awards.
Yes.
And so then you get to spend the rest of your career focusing on the fun stuff, which is strategic relationships, leverage, and wealth building. And that's how we organize the Success Vault.
When you were explaining all of this, I was sitting here thinking, I'm going to throw this question at you, an objection. And I've never asked you this, but I'm certain that you have been asked this because I've been asked this. So someone listening right now could be a broker or independent office owner, anywhere in that caliber. And they're listening to you, and you've had this massively successful career at KW. You watched how to build a successful franchise. You helped build it. You then moved over into the cloud-based world. You've run this profitable team. Like, you've done all things well, and you've done them right. And now you've helped build this success thing. I'm certain people have asked you, why don't you go off and do it on your own? Like, why would you build it for someone else and not be doing your own thing? What is your response? I would love to hear, Chad.
Okay, so this all goes into the infinite agent model. Okay, so when we were sitting there at 100 million plus per year on the Chad Smith team at KW, I certainly considered becoming my own broker.
I'm sure.
Okay, and so here's what I mean. I know that this is right. Okay, because people are doing it. And as I described this, those of you who know the different real estate agent kind of influencers online, you'll realize that this is what's happening. See, when I'm a realtor, when I'm serving as a realtor, I'm a fiduciary. What does that mean? That means that I represent my seller and I put their interest ahead of my own, just not above the law. So same thing with my buyer. I represent my buyer's best interest. I serve them and their best interest. So it actually doesn't even matter what I believe. I'm not choosing my sellers and my buyers based on whether or not they align with my belief system. I'm there to serve them and their families and their best interests.
Yep.
Okay. Well, if that's what you do when you have your real estate hat on, your real estate license, well, then the broker facilitates that, which means it's bound by all of those rules and standards that go along with the license. But every single one of us can go to YouTube right now. And probably if you're a realtor, you've got some real estate videos that pop up in your feed from the algorithm. But every one of you has got something else. Maybe it's working out. Maybe it's fishing. Maybe you like a particular type of sport or cooking, you name it. And you have found these influential people who have added value to your life based on their content, and they're speaking to an audience for cooking or for hunting or for football or whatever it is. And then down below in the description on their video, it says, click here for my free webinar or click here to join my free masterclass. And you get in there far enough, and then there's a paid subscription to it. Okay. All right. So what I decided to do was, I have no desire to be a broker. I don't want the legality. I don't like dealing with contracts that much. None of it. I love serving my clients and teaching other people how to do that. But what I'm really passionate about is my infinite goal. And so rather than become a broker, I became a community builder. And I call it the real solution. What is the real solution? I believe the real solution is to put God first. Matthew 6:33, to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And then all the things that the world is chasing after will be added unto me. And then to love my wife and lay down my life for her. And then train up my children. And then pursue excellence in business. And when I do the things in that order, then I can go forward ever and backward never. That's what I want to talk about every single day. And so I began building that, and I hung my license in a platform brokerage that is aligned with the way things really work nowadays. Yeah. And so when I met Mark and Eddie, I was so impressed with their track record and what they've done. And since I met them, they've done everything they said they were going to do. So they're operating in integrity in that way. Like they are doing what they said they were going to do with Realty of America. But I sat down with Eddie the last meeting, and I explained exactly what I just explained, and I explained the real solution and how it exists kind of as an outer circle outside of my license, because it's basically just a website.
Yeah.
Let's look at the technical side of it. And I just said, I just need to know that the brokerage I'm in alignment with is okay with me being me, and me being over here attracting people to this belief system.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, we absolutely want you to be able to do that. And so that's why I did it that way. And that's what I really want to share with the industry, because whether you realize it or not, eventually you will. This is what everybody that is actually still growing, this is what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't attract what you want. You don't necessarily even attract based on the brokerage. You attract what you are. And so I put everything I had into defining who I am, what I believe, why I do what I do, so I can go find all the people that identify with that and wanted to grow with me on a daily basis for the next several decades. And that's why I did it that way. And if you look at any industry, that's what the people who are really growing communities of people, that's what they're all doing in every industry.
You know, for one, I think that was beautiful what you said. I absolutely love it. I love how you explained it like that. And for anyone listening, I'm sure it had to have made total sense to them the way, because no one's ever explained it like that. Well, no one has the same mission as you either. But you want to know something that I've seen on social media that I think is something super cool, is more people are being either drawing closer to God or they're being more public about it. What do you see that too?
Yeah, probably. I think so. You know,
in our industry,
I think that, well, I've always been this way for
same
22 years, because I'm not capable of any progress I've made in my life. I'm not capable of it in my own strength. Mm-mm. So I've always been this way. But when I would go speak at a conference, let's say in Arlington or in Dallas, I've always given the Lord all the credit and the glory and the honor for what has happened in my life. And I talk about my wife and my kids. And so, and pursuing excellence in business. And then afterwards, people come up to me and they say, hey, you know, I believe like you too. So I feel like there's like-minded people all around. You know, maybe there is, you know, I hope that there is. I do think that the harder times get, the more people realize that
true,
they do it on their own. So it could be, you know, just from the chaos of, let's say, the last 6 years.
Yes.
You know, that could be part of it. Part of it could just be the algorithm too. You never know. You never know.
No, as we wrap up here, you guys, Chad, what does it look like? You've found your home. You've built this amazing business and community that continues to grow and thrive, and you're changing people's lives every day. What is, because I know you're not going to sit still and you're not going to retire. So what does the next 10, 20, 30 years look like for Chad Smith?
It would just be living out the real solution, the belief system of the real solution. You know, more immediate than that would just be, I'm writing the book, and we're looking for like-minded people to grow with. And then, you know, my oldest daughter just graduated high school. And so now I've got, next year I'll have a 11th grader and a 9th grader and a 3rd grader. And so my job with them is not done until they're living for the Lord. Mm-hmm. They are well educated. They are married, equally yoked to a believer, and they're self-sufficient. And so I've got that is on my radar. And then our church just in the next 2 weeks is starting phase 2 of our current location. And so it's about 80 something thousand square feet. And so I'm really excited about playing as big of a part as I can in that and seeing it built and then seeing it all paid for and paid off. And then the rest is just finding like-minded people to grow with and And, I learn from them and then they learn from me and we're all growing together. And so that's what I see happening, for as much time as I have. I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I know what I'm going to share for the rest of my life. And now it's just about finding like-minded people, becoming findable and finding my people.
I love it. You know what, Chad, someone I was talking to a couple of months ago, we were talking about building real estate companies, and because everyone always thinks it's so easy and, I'm just going to go build this, come build this with me. And I answered someone, I said, I'm going to tell you something here. I've had my own, and now this is my third and last company because we will stay here forever. And I said, number one, I believe the rev share cloud-based model is the way of the future, 1000%. But I believe the difference with what we're doing is that ours is more, and maybe it's just because this the people that we all choose to be around, but ours is more based on culture and community and training and literally being there for the agent. Mm-hmm. And I don't know of another company that can say that, and that I'm in all of them. I see it. And I said, we're building something really beautiful. Mm-hmm. And if we are successful, like we believe that we will be in the next 3 to 5 years, won't that be a really cool thing to say, like we all came together and helped build this and change lives?
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I shared something with everybody in the Real Solution last week, and a lot of people are waiting for the environment they're in to be more collaborative.
Yes.
Or to be this or to be that. And, if you're in an environment and someone has violated their integrity, or they are not committed to helping you grow, then I think that you owe it to yourself and your family to kind of figure out what your next steps are. Yep. Right. That's not my purpose of bringing that up. If you're in an environment, there will never be a perfect environment.
No.
All environments are made of people. And so unless there's something that has been a true violation of culture and things are just kind of mediocre, I say bloom where you're planted. Bring your absolute best in the environment you're in, and know that you didn't hold back. If you're constantly waiting for somebody else to give to you, or to pour into you, or for the environment to be this, or this environment's missing that, go be that in an environment. Yes. So be the person, be the environment, be the culture that you would like to see, and give it your best first. See, that is, it's one thing to say you're a giver, but what does that actually mean? It means bringing your absolute best in everything that you said yes to. If you said yes to a team, then operate at the standard that you said yes to. If you said yes to leading a team, then show up and fulfill your side of the deal. If you said yes to a brokerage, bring your absolute best. If you said yes in a marriage, bring your absolute best. Right? Whatever you said yes to, you be the change, you be the culture that you say you want, before you go around complaining to everyone else about the 2 or 3 things that are missing. And, when I look at the way that Mark and Eddie have led Realty of America, Eddie does not forget where he came from.
No.
And so Eddie is playing all out. He said yes to Realty of America, and he is doing everything that he knows how to do every waking hour of the day to fulfill his commitment to the agents. Same thing with Mark. Same thing for the anchor partners, for that matter, and growth leaders, and then the corporate staff. I see how hard they all work. And so all I'm working to do is to bring my absolute best to what I said yes to. And, find people like that to be around, because it'll rub off on you.
It's so true. I love what you just said. I know that we will achieve everything that we have all set our minds to and all declared. for sure. Because I think I know God has got his hand on all of this. And I said, one thing that's really cool is that I interview people all the time. We do this annual conference and I run it, and you never, ever, I don't anyway, hear other leaders of companies talk about their faith publicly, because that's taboo. You're not supposed to talk about religion and politics, and you're not supposed to bring that stuff up. But the founder of our company and Mark both publicly speak about their faith. And I think that's the craziest thing in the whole world. And even in our last conference, while I was interviewing Mark and Eddie from the stage, they both, Eddie first cried from the stage and got tears in her eyes about, like Eddie said, God, I have everything else except for a family. I don't have a family. And he said, God's about to give me my first baby. And he had tears in his eyes. And it was like, that was the most beautiful thing ever. And then Mark was sitting next to him, just, it was like, that just happened. And it wasn't scripted, or that's real,
Well, he has his baby girl now.
He does. And it just doesn't get any more real than that, It's like, how do you not want to be part of something that has that at the core,
Yeah. They're doing great things, and happy, healthy baby. And, we've got that happening in our organization here locally too. Young people getting married, doing things the right way, buying their first home, babies born, all kinds of these things. These things are so much bigger than just a sale or an award. Once you can put everything in the right priority structure, that's how you can go forward and not get tripped up, and it's also how you can celebrate success in other people.
Yeah. I love it.
I love seeing that type of growth, and then seeing them, that's what I mean by Eddie. He doesn't take things for granted. And I appreciate that about him.
Well, Chad, you're changing lives every day too. Hey, how can people that are listening to this are like, gosh, I want to learn more from Chad, or what is a real solution? Talk to me about this infinite model. How can they find you? What can they do?
Yeah, my handle's there on the screen, so you can connect with me there, or you could go to therealsolution.com.
Yeah.
And there's a calendar link there. The different offers that we have are there. There's ways that you can just message me from the website. And, if anything that I shared today resonated with you, reach out to me.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, Chad, today. It's always amazing to watch all the things that you do. And I love that we get to do this together.
Awesome. Thank you, Tricia. Thank you for having me. Tell Paul I said hello, and I'll see you soon.
Sounds good. You guys have an awesome day. Bye, y'all.